What's up guys, Jivan back with another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about why you may be really cracked and creative, but you might struggle in Arena. We're going to be talking about all the things you should be using creative for, and how you can use those skills to help you perform better in Arena. Before we start this video, please consider using code JivanTV in the item shop, or if you're not using anybody's code, just make sure you got somebody's code in. It helps us creators out a bunch. Now without further ado, let's get into this video. First thing we're going to be talking about today is what you should be doing in creative if you want to get better. The biggest thing you need to be doing in creative to improve in Arena is playing those trivia games and the horror games in Fortnite creative. Just kidding. Now let's actually get into this video. The biggest reason creative is there for competitive players is to help us learn the fundamentals, such as aim, piece control, retakes, edits. If you feel like your edits and aim and everything like that could still be better, then you should be utilizing creative to try to get those as top tier as you can. For those of you that feel like you're still in this stage, I have a video with a ton of creative maps that I use to improve. The link to that video is going to be in the description, and it's got every practice map that I use to improve, like piece control, edits, everything like that. So I definitely recommend checking that out if you feel like you're at that stage where some of your fundamentals could be a little stronger. When it comes down to retakes, I have lots of retake tutorials as well. But let's go on to the next part of this video. If you feel like your fundamentals are solid in these practice maps, that's awesome. But the next step is trying to get it down under pressure. Being able to do these piece control moves, hit your shots, and do retakes, all that stuff while under pressure is one of the hardest things in the game to get down. But one day it's just gonna click for you. Once it clicks, you'll be so much better and you'll feel way more confident. The way you can get to this point where you feel like your game has finally clicked into place and you're feeling a lot better is by starting out with 1v1s in creative. There was like a 1 to 2 month period where I spent almost half my time in creative 1v1ing people. And the most important thing is I tried to find people that were better than me to 1v1. Because you're not going to feel that pressure and improvement if you're not fighting people that are actually better than you. If you feel like your fights are a breeze, then that's not good practice. So there's 3 ways that you can find people to 1v1. You can just use matchmaking to hop into like build fights, realistic fights, and box fights, but sometimes that doesn't give you the most challenging opponents. I know I tried to do it the other day and I was like 10-0ing everybody I fought. The second way you can do it is just by 1v1ing friends that you know are cracked at the game. And the third way to do it is you can hop into scrim discords and 1v1 people from there. That's the best practice, because those are usually the more serious competitors that are trying to improve. I hopped in there the other day and I was fighting a pro player, no cap. The way you find scrim discords is just by searching on Google, scrim discord, and then search your server, so EU scrim discord, or Asia scrim server. And then the top result will probably be the best scrim server, the most popular one where most of the serious competitors are. Alright, so the next part of this video is you gotta know what situations apply to what parts of the game. For example, like the practice that you do in creative, where does it apply in game? How can you know what you're actually supposed to be doing? I'm gonna give you a general answer here. When it comes down to box fight practice, that usually applies to the early and late game. You know, in early game, you need to be playing those angles, making sure you're setting up really good peaks and conserving your mats. It's the same in box fights. And then in late game, there's a lot of people that are boxed up, and so if you're gonna fight them, you're gonna need to box fight them, otherwise you're gonna get sprayed by the whole lobby. If you try to have a build fight with them, you're gonna get chopped out in 2 seconds. So box fights apply to early and late game. Build fights and realistic fights apply to mid game. In these fights, you know, you're trying to piece control the opponent, you may have a little build battle in Arena. You may not build all the way up to the moon like in a normal build fight, but you still want to try to get into that build fight mindset that you have in creative when you're taking these fights in mid game of Arena. It's the same idea. When I get into a mid game fight in Arena, I just immediately start cranking on them, trying to get high ground as fast as possible and piece control them as fast as possible, just like I would in a build fight. The only difference is, you know, you got to make sure that you don't go up too high, otherwise you're going to get chopped. You need to find that balance of how high can you go in a build fight before you need to start being concerned. If you're cranking to the moon against them and they just keep on 90ing out, drop like halfway down the build fight and chop. Once you start chopping them out, they'll drop on you. You can use that to your advantage. Once they hear one pickaxe swing on their builds, they almost always drop down. And if they don't, just keep on chopping. And then of course, Zone Wars applies to late game situations. Usually it's more similar to a cash cup type scenario, but sometimes, in early season arena, the endgames might feel a lot like Zone Wars, so getting into that Zone Wars mentality can help you out a lot. So to sum up that part of the video, the biggest thing that can help you get to the next level and start applying the fundamentals of the game into these sweaty fights is just by practicing a lot against better players in creative, and then getting into that same mindset when you're in those certain situations in arena. That helped me a lot for transferring my skills over to arena, and then after a certain amount of time of grinding 1v1s and playing a lot of arena, I never get nervous in my arena games, and I feel confident in every single fight. I never hesitate, all that stuff. So it takes time, but if you grind it enough, you'll get there. Now I know at this part of the video, a lot of you are probably thinking, but Jivan, the difference of ping and frames from creative to arena is so bad. Like, how do I overcome that? In creative, I can crank edit courses and all that stuff perfectly fine, but when I get into arena, I can't do that anymore. Don't worry, you're not the only one. That's totally normal. Don't let the ping hold you back. Here's my advice. The biggest thing is you need to know the difference between creative and arena fights. In arena, one of the biggest things you need to keep in mind is you need to know the difference. Play smarter, not harder. You won't need to crank edit courses in every single fight. You just need to try to outsmart and outplay your opponent. And this especially applies to high ping players. Creative is mostly mechanical, in those fights you're going to be mostly cranking out mechanics trying to edit course your opponent. But when it comes to arena, it's good to have those skills from creative, but you do need to play a little different. Focus on tracking your opponent. Make sure that your aim is 100%. The biggest skill to have for arena is aim. If you follow my streams, you probably know that I only practice my aim in creative now. I'm past the point where I do all these 1v1s, all these piece control practice maps. I'm past that point. I feel like I've mastered those and I don't need to do it anymore. But keep in mind, I ran those courses for months on end trying to master it and get it perfectly down, and I did so many 1v1s. But now that I have those skills, and some of you might be at this point, I pretty much grind arena exclusively. I aim train for 10 to 30 minutes at the start of the day, but then once my aim is feeling solid, I just grind arena for hours. To get to the point where you're really confident in arena, after you've built all those fundamentals and feel confident in creative, you just need to grind arena for so long. It may take months, it may take like 2 seasons, but the grind will be worth it because once you actually get to the point where you're confident all the time, you'll be able to run through arena lobbies and outplay everybody. You just got to be playing smarter, not harder. So like stuff like debating your opponent out, making them think you're going to go one way but then you go the other. That stuff doesn't require low ping. Being able to predict your opponent's moves, that way you can pre-fire them or pre-box them. That stuff comes with time, it comes with experience, it comes with a lot of grinding of arena and studying opponents and seeing how they move. Once you play enough of it, you'll almost be able to read every single opponent. Unless you find someone that's absolutely insane, a lot of people you can just read easily, and that comes with experience. So once you got all those fundamentals down and you've played a ton of creative, you feel like you can just run through these piece control maps with no problem. You feel like you can win almost all your 1v1s. All you gotta do now is just grind arena like crazy until those skills eventually transfer over. It takes time because at first a lot of people get nervous. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm lacking confidence. That stuff comes with time and experience, but it will eventually come, no matter what ping you're on. And some of you might be thinking, Jivan, you're just saying this because you have low ping in arena. But I went on other servers and played on every single server trying to catch a dub. And I just played smarter, not harder, and I was getting dubs on every single server within 3 tries. I got a win on NA West first try on 60 ping, EU second try on 90 ping, Brazil I won 3 out of 4 games. Like once you get that experience, you'll be able to read opponents and play really well on high ping. It just takes time, so don't give up. Last thing I want to retouch on is if you ever feel like one part of your gameplay is lacking, like maybe you're past the point where you need to practice in creative every day, you're just grinding arena. If you feel like your piece control starts to fall behind meta, just start going into those piece control practice maps again until you're feeling confident with it again. Anytime any of your fundamentals are feeling weak, hop back into creative and practice them. At the start of your day, you should be doing like a 10 to 30 minute warm-up, just practicing the stuff that you feel the weakest at. For me, that's been aim for the past like 2 months, so all I've been practicing is aim. But if I feel like I'm choking a lot of edits one day in arena, I'll add a little bit of piece control practice and edit practice in creative for the next day. I'll add that to my warm-up routine for a few days until I feel comfortable with it again. And by the way, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering about tournaments, like how do you get to the point where you can transfer these skills over to tournaments? It's pretty much the same exact thing in this video. Just imagine every single time I said the word arena, I talked about tournaments. But there is one twist: with tournaments, you need to be doing a ton of VOD reviewing. You'll start to place better in tournaments once you have that experience, and one of the ways to get more experience faster is by studying every single tournament you play and seeing how you could have done better, and maybe even comparing it to pro gameplay. Check out the person who got first place in that tournament, watch their gameplay back, and see what they did differently than you. Also, playing other servers' tournaments, like if you're playing a solo cash cup, play on a couple other servers just to get some extra practice in. If you're playing on other servers, you're gonna need to play a little bit differently, and sometimes you can learn a lot from playing differently. But yeah, hopefully this video helps you guys out. If you have anything to add, drop it down in the comments. Also, feel free to drop video ideas in the comments. Let me know what you want to see. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, use code JivanTV in the item shop, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.